Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm CCYamato, and today we're going to talk about Happiness Memories again. The game's been out for a couple of weeks now, and as you can see on this screen, I've been rather busy. Uh, in my first video, I did a hot take of it, going over a bunch of the things that I had figured out in one day. Now that I've been playing the game for nearly 2 weeks, there's a bunch of things that I have figured out that I want to go over that I didn't go over in the last video. So since I'm here in the room, let's start off with one of the things that I've figured out. So in the first video, I mentioned that you obviously can move things around your room. What I didn't mention is that you can also move Sakura around. So if you click and hold on her, you can pick her up and just kind of drag her around. And her clothes physics a little bit there. You can see like her hair swishes around, her dress swishes around. So it's fun. There's not much you can do with this here, but you can basically just move her around the room and place her where you want. As far as I can tell, though, you can't really make her interact with anything. Like, I can leave her next to the chair. That does not guarantee that she's going to sit in that chair. And there she goes. She is not going to be sitting in the chair. Although she might, if we watch here. She's, well, is she? Yes, she's going to sit in the couch. She's just kind of a moonwalk right there onto the couch. So, there you go. That's how everything works here. What we can see right now in my room is that I have 4 different room patterns going on here. I have Sakura up in the corner. I have the colorful palette down here. I have a little bit of Tomoyo's house, and I have the event stuff going on right now. The current event is Tomoeda Stories, which means that you have the ability to collect materials to make room decorations for Tomoeda Middle School. So that's what I've got here. If I were to show a full version, I can actually make the entire room look like the classroom, but I only have 3 desks, so it's not a very impressive classroom. Next thing, let's go ahead and talk about the actual event that's going on right now. So, as I mentioned, it's Tomoeda Stories, and what comes with that is a selection of unique storyline quests and just materials quests that allow you to get materials to make your classroom. So this would be the result of that. You get floor panels, you get wall panels, you get a blackboard, desks, and chairs. Those are the things that you can collect while you are doing this event. Now, as far as I can tell, if you have the materials in your inventory, then even after this event finishes, you will be able to continue to make the things, but you won't be able to get the maker squares necessary to continue making stuff after that. The other thing that you get is a series of unique stories. So they added 6 new cards to the game that follow along the story. Basically, the story is that Yamazaki tells them the story of Tomoeda's 7 mysteries, a fairly common Japanese storytelling trope, and the storyline quests just go through that. And you can actually watch them, if I find it here. You can actually go through and watch them, but they are all in Japanese, just like all the other story quests. They're all written out in Japanese, so it's not very dynamic or good for people who don't follow very well. Fortunately, you have the option to just skip those and collect the rewards if that's all you're looking for. Next thing to go over here, we will go over a little clarification of the trophy system. So I mentioned that obviously this is where you get the trophies. These are where your daily challenges are listed. So here we have like make an order for a food item, make an order for a furniture item, make an order for a clothing item, or fabric material. That's what all of those mean. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a glitch, but what happens is if I were to clear one, you will see it immediately replaced with the same one for 5. That's because even though these should basically all display at one time, the ones that like require 5 or 10 and such, those won't appear until you get the other ones out of the way first. So I can basically just keep bulk accepting these because I've been doing these all morning until I finally run out. And you can see that I still have more. So there you go. I have made 20 orders of housing goods. So there you go. I got 5 gems out of that. And you still, after finishing the trophies, you have to go over to the gifts and actually collect the things that you want. It's kind of a lot of extra clicking, but all things considered, it's not too bad. It's actually far more annoying to just have that little case of like, you have to do the lower level before the upper level will even appear, even though I know the upper level will, be there. All right, next thing, let's go out in town and talk about a few of the things that are out there, and we'll talk about the bottom menu while I'm down there as well. So out in town, I've been making some upgrades to the various things that I have. A reminder that we have the sewing area, the cooking area, and the crafting area. Let me get into a little bit of a pro gamer strat here, because now that I've been playing for a little while, I kind of understand how things go. So, in the sewing area, you start off with 2 free areas. You actually start off with 2 free areas in all of them, the crafting area and the cooking area. I don't recommend buying any more sections here. So the way it goes, like it costs 100 to expand, but then the next one will be 200, the next one will be 300, and so on. So it costs like 2100 to fully upgrade. Clothing is so slow, it's just not worth it, and they don't give a lot of experience. I wouldn't buy any more of these. Over here, in the little resource gathering areas, it costs, you get 5 to start with, and then it costs 100 per each square afterward. To be quite honest, even though I upgraded my sewing area, I actually don't really think you really need to. I think you can get by without it, just because clothes take so long to make. On the other hand, in the cooking area, I don't recommend expanding any more of this, because cooking is also very slow, but it requires so little material that you don't really need more than the 5. However, I do recommend that in the house, in the kitchen area, you actually do upgrade to at least 4. That only costs 300 jewels, and the turnaround is good enough, especially for the weekly quests, which appear to still just be feeding Yukito a bunch of snacks. So you need to make a lot of pancakes in order to satisfy him for the week for a few hundred EXP for each one. So it just speeds up the process. And also, cooking appears to be the only way to really grind EXP once you're out of free quests. So you need a lot of space to cook with, but I don't feel like you need the full 8. It's certainly not worth 2100 diamonds to open up the whole thing. Now, the only one that I recommend you upgrade as much as possible is the crafting area. So I have, the hardware store has all of its spots open. Now I have, in the actual crafting room, I have 4 spots, and I have been debating opening up more spots. The thing is that I don't really think it's totally necessary. I'm still kind of on the fence about it. So the biggest thing is that in this game, you have to make a lot of wooden planks in order to, it's these things right here. You have to make a lot of wooden planks, because every piece of furniture that you make requires these planks. Like this couch that I'm making right now, this costs like 69 planks, and it takes 2 minutes to make each plank. So you would think that having a whole lot of squares would be maximum efficiency, but you can still only get logs 10 at a time per minute. So at some point, there's kind of a balancing act there where you're either breaking even every session, or you are exceeding your capacity to provide logs. One or the other. So I actually think 4 squares is basically as good as you're going to get. Alright, moving on to the bottom menu, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that I did not talk about in the previous video, mainly because I hadn't figured them out yet. So there's not much of anything that I have to upgrade about the happy sets and such, although I don't remember making mention of this. What I have mentioned, or what I have found, is that the button that gives you your bonuses, it actually seems to recharge every about 30 minutes. So you can use this, and you can use the little wings down here to immediately reset it, but the natural reset on it appears to be fairly short. It's no longer than an hour. So you don't really need the wings, but I also find that happy photos in general don't really help that much. You'll also notice up here there are tabs, and that is just, you can pay 200 to open up more of these tabs. So in theory, you can have up to 12 photos set. And that is probably the only efficient way to use happy photos, because right now I find happy photos to be fairly useless. So over here in the gallery, this is again where you find all of your pictures. It is currently glitched so that the first time you open up the menu, all of these will say new, even if you've had them for a while. I just actually pulled this one today. This was one of my free ones, so I can level this up now. Every time you level it up, it's a different prize. So I think this is like the third or fourth time I've opened it up. So silver ones will give you a hammer ticket like this, And then on their second level up, they'll give you a wing. And again, this is the third level up. As you can tell, I think, by the diamonds here. It starts with 0 and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously. You can upgrade it a maximum of 5 times. I don't know if the percentage ever goes up. I haven't noticed it go up so far. But another thing to go over is over in the more rare photos, the rainbow ones have a tendency to evolve, like this one. So you have 2 different story things that are... So what I didn't really point out, because I hadn't quite figured it out, is that the rainbow cards unlock unique stories, and you can see them right here. So there are quests that go along with the rainbow cards that you pull. And the more of the rainbow cards you get, the more different images you get. So this is the basic level, the one with Tomoyo and Kiro with a weight on his head. And then if you pull that one again, then in your gallery, it will evolve to this one. And presumably, if you keep pulling duplicates of this one, then it will continue to go through new images and keep adding to the story. So this story is about Tomoyo's training Kiro to be a good cameraman. So it just keeps going up through there. And eventually, if you pull another one, you will get another one in that story. Same deal. This one is about Tomoyo's slump. She feels uninspired. And in the second chapter, Sakura dresses up in a bunch of costumes at a shrine, praying for Tomoyo to feel better. And again, presumably, if you keep going through the story, you will get more of that. Next thing to go on is the friend menu. So there's actually a few little nuances that I didn't go into when I talked about the friend menu the first time. So in the friend menu, obviously on this first tab, these are your friends. And the way you can interact with them is you can, as I said before, you can push the thumbs up button. You don't actually have to go to their room to hit the thumbs up. You can just give them a thumbs up right there. And the other button here is one that I had not figured out in the previous video, but what this is the cooking help button. So as you can see, this friend of mine is currently cooking pancakes. What I can do is I can tap one of these pancakes once per day per friend, and I can give them some help. And what it does is it knocks 5 minutes off whatever they're cooking. And there you go. I can help one friend once per day. Now, I could go through every single one of these and check for people cooking, but there's an easier way to do it. What you can do is you can look at the time menu down here. This character right here, that means minutes. So this person logged in 8 minutes ago. This person up here is 1 hour ago. Whoops. 1 hour ago. So same with this one, 2 hours ago. Not helpful because no amount of cooking takes that long. 1 hour, 3 hour, 1 hour, 8 hours. Here we go. Here's another one at 27 minutes. Do they have anything cooking? They don't, sadly. We can just keep checking all the ones that have minutes. And that's basically the fastest way to at least kind of just look and see if anyone's cooking. This person hasn't logged in for 7 days. I need new friends. So the next thing we go over here. So here's one of my invitations that actually came through. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. So now I have a friend. So I got a new friend. Yay. Over here, this blue dot. So if you get a thumbs up, you don't actually get the thumbs up straight away. You actually have to go over to this menu and you have to collect your thumbs ups. So just like that. Also over here, you'll see all the people that have helped you with cooking. I do a lot of cooking, so it's fairly easy for people to help me. Generally speaking, if I'm logged in, which has been quite a while in the last 2 weeks, I'm generally cooking, so I make it pretty easy for people. Next thing here is the leaderboards once again. And the last one over here, this is the search bar. So this is where you can add your friends, or you can see my code here. You can add me, and feel free to add me. Here's my code right here. All you would have to do is take my code right here and put it in this search box, and then hit this button. Now, if you don't know people's codes, that's okay. Down here at the bottom here on the right, there's this Osusume button. If you push that, then you have a whole bunch of people that are open for friendship. All you got to do is just push a button right here, and it'll ask you. There you go. I've sent them a friend request. They haven't logged in for 7 hours, so I don't know when I'm going to get that. Now, while we're over here, one more thing we can do. You can see down here on the bottom, here's Tomoyo. You can actually go to her house. And there she is. So just like with Sakuru's room, you can actually pick her up. And she just kind of floats around. Whee! But yeah, this is just her entire setup, or the closest approximation the game can make. And I believe her room is actually one size larger than the standard room. So you can pay 200 jewels to open up the room by 9 squares. And presumably you can open it up even further than that, but I haven't tried yet. So you can do the same things with Tomoyo. You can give her a thumbs up. And you can also help her out with cooking, quote unquote, but all it does is just give you 500 free coins. So it's just something to grab every day. Last thing I can clarify here is the Nakyoji gifts area. So I had a bunch of friends when I did my last video, but I have more friends now, and you can see that their levels have gone up. So what you do with friends, as I mentioned, I believe, is that you just hit the square here, and then you can give them presents. As you see, I have a lot of food because, again, I cook a lot. All of the presents give a set value of points across the characters. This isn't like one of those kind of dating games where you have to figure out which food each character likes more or less than the other. They all like food the same way. I have found that the most efficient food to produce and feed is actually ice cream. It's because it requires the least amount of materials. You can do the most of them in an hour, and they give the most experience per hour if you were just feeding them straight ice cream. So, another pro gamer strat. The way that these level up is that every 5-ish levels, I think. Yeah, so they start at level 1, so every 5 levels after that. So at level 6, you get 5 diamonds. Every other level, you get 50 hero coins, but at 6, 11, 16, and so on, you'll get 5 diamonds in addition to your hero coins. And that's it for things that I have figured out about the game in the last few weeks. I'm going to continue playing, but one of the unfortunate things I've found is that once you hit level 35, you do run out of a lot of the free quests. So I do have these, but these are not going to carry me very far. So at this point, I've kind of hit a wall waiting for them to add more content. We do know that there's obviously going to be more content here simply because if you look at the collection of stuff, there's a lot of things that are shaded out here that are not in the game yet. So we are waiting for more patches. So eventually we'll get more stuff. Until then, though, there are no more stories for me to do. The items that I have in the crafting store, those are all I have to work with. I do know that there is more craftable material in the works. I think a lot of it is tied up in events, like here we had the Tomoeda stuff, but from a reliable source, I do know that there are some other interesting room items coming up, including Shaoran's room. So we will be getting either that added as an event, or we'll be getting that as just standard material. Also, there are just a lot of missing cloud cards. The deck is still very incomplete in all regards, and actually there's a quest that asks me to get 25 magical cards, but there's only 23 magical cards currently in the game. So I can't even finish that quest because they haven't finished patching stuff in yet. It's a mobile game, presumably, they have it mapped out to be upgrading for a while. And it's just kind of it's the slow drip quality of mobile games that is presumably going to keep me playing for quite a while. But that is a quick look at things I've figured out in the last couple weeks, a couple of clarifications on things that I touched on before, but now I've got better details on. Go ahead and do your YouTube things before you click out of here. If you like this or have any specific questions, go ahead and leave those down in the comments. I've been trying to get back to people who ask me specific questions about things, and hope to see you in the next video.